Good morning. Yes, my number one priority is my children. So my little one called me this morning and I was like, Mom, why aren't you home yet? So I want to thank everyone for being here. This is a very exciting day, especially for me. As Tara was talking about, education is very important to me. It's what I do day in and day out in my job, my other life as the Director of Operations for the Children's Cabinet. I've been with the agency for 13 years, and our focus has been on every single issue you saw up there, from runaway and homeless youth to abuse and neglected children, to working with family resource centers and Toby Hyman, to working on improving education and mental health. So it's exciting to be here, a little disheartening to be able to see where we rate still and know that there's a lot of work to do. I was very honored when Denise contacted me and asked me if I would be the ambassador for the Strong Start campaign for children in our state. It's very important to me because if we don't start changing things when children are early on, we're never going to have an impact. When we talk to the youth that we work with, and I should have had the statistic, try to remember it off the top of my head, but less than 50% of the kids that we work with that have been involved in the juvenile justice system went to preschool and had that opportunity to learn before they hit the high school level. Before I go further, though, I'd like to recognize GARD. I appreciate all your work with the Children's Advocacy Alliance and giving your time to this important measure, and also would like to thank Tara for her great work and being able to provide this information for us on what to focus on. There are a lot of issues that were discussed today, and there's a lot of things that we could focus on, and things that we need to change in order to be successful and to change the lives of children and families. But the one that I'd like to focus on today is education. We often look at, as we can see, where we've been in the past and where we are right now, and instead I'd like to kind of focus on where we're going as a state. There's been a lot of discussion about the state of the state and all the excitement that has been brought up about where we're going as a state. And it's very exciting to know that the focus is going to be on education. As Assemblyman Stewart said, we all need to remember we're Nevadans first. And we cannot let education, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a brief moment. And my husband's probably wanting to die right now if he's watching. And hello to everybody in Northern Nevada. But I think we need to remember that education should not be a political issue. It is important for every child to be educated. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. It matters that we care about our children and that they deserve the kind of education. And our children should not be caught up in a political game. So there's my soapbox, and then I'll go into my speech. So that wasn't in my speech, so I just... So I appreciate you both being here and representing both sides, because it's going to be a very long session, and there's going to be a lot of need to work together. So I'd like to start by borrowing a thought from Dr. Seuss. We all love Dr. Seuss. He reminds us in his classic, "Oh, the places we'll go," that sadly it's true. Sometimes bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. That's not a complicated statement, but it is a very profound statement. If we are to focus productively on where we want to go as a community and as a state, we cannot allow ourselves to get caught up in how we have fallen short. If we become fixated on the problem, distracted by our hang-ups and bang-ups, we'll never realize the solution. And we won't achieve the level of success that we otherwise could if we remain committed to the goals. One of the goals I'm confident we all share today is to create an atmosphere within which our children can reach their full potential, an environment in which they can learn, in which they can feel safe, in which they can become productive citizens and move confidently to meet their hopes and dreams. I don't think there's one person in here that can't hope for their own child and other child to be able to reach their hopes and dreams. This is a very achievable goal, especially if we all work together. And we need to stay focused on that. We need to focus on, as a state, to come together and make education a priority. In order to be able to make sure children are educated, we need to focus on our young learners. We need to provide them with a strong foundation for success. We often are reactive instead of proactive. We can't do that anymore. We can't wait until our students are in middle school or high school to begin preparing them for the realities of our ever-competitive, changing global environment, or the rapidly changing dynamics of a job market based on new technologies that require new modern skills. To prepare for this future, we need to begin at the earliest stages, and we need to focus on children when they're ready to learn immediately. As today's report card clearly shows, we have a lot of room for progress in this effort. In Nevada, we have much work to do to ensure that our students are ready for the classroom. We can and we should focus more on school readiness and high-quality early education programs, especially for those children who come from low-income families and who lack access to these critical services. When I speak of the importance of early education, and I often remind people that 90% of brain development occurs before the child reaches the age of 5. That means the first 5 years of a child's life can be the most critical stage in terms of developing learning skills that will be essential to them for the rest of their lives. So just to take a quick poll for you of those who have children, how many of them went to preschool? Okay, huge amount. Now, I bet if we went into a different environment, an at-risk school, and asked how many of those kids went to preschool, we'd see a whole different picture. And that's why we need to remember that it doesn't matter what your economic background is, what your political background is. Every child deserves the right to start education early on. As today's report demonstrates, in Nevada we face the unfortunate reality that many children enter kindergarten far behind their peers, setting them up at a disadvantage before they even begin traditional schooling. Only slightly more than 3 out of 100 3- and 4-year-olds in Nevada are enrolled in public pre-K or federally funded Head Start programs. Only 30% of 3- and 4-year-olds are attending any type of preschool programs at all. And we consider that 62%. So 62% of Nevada's 224,000 children under the age of 5 have both parents in the workforce. We realize just how great the missed opportunity potentially is. So I have one child that's in college and one child that is about to go to college. And so I was reading my speech and my daughter says to me, "Oh my gosh, how expensive," my 18-year-old daughter is getting ready to start UNR, "how expensive is childcare?" And I said, "Well, let me tell you, it's going to be cheaper for me to send you to UNR next year than it was for me to pay for you to go to preschool." And she's like, "How can that possibly be?" And it's sad that it is that way, that we can't educate higher on the front end and realize the importance of that as much as we realize the importance of college. That tells us that we have to make access to pre-kindergarten early education programs a priority because they're absolutely vital to preparing our students for a long-term success. Important indicators of robust, effective educational system, indicators such as student achievement as measured by aptitude and later grades, or high school graduation rates, or other indicators including post-secondary enrollment rates, are linked to high-quality early education participation. And if we fail at this level, if we fail to cultivate our youngest minds at the early stages, we are only ourselves to blame when these students face a higher likelihood of falling further and further behind in later years. The good news is that we know we can do what we can do to make a difference, and it's to improve our education system across the board. High-quality pre-K education, especially for disadvantaged children, has been shown to decrease special education by 49% and reduce grade retention by 50%. Early education has a profound effect on school graduation rates and college attendance rates as well. Pre-K education programs have been shown to increase high school graduation by 31% and post-secondary attendance by 80%. These are indicators included in today's report card. We can see we have a lot of work to do to improve these areas in Nevada, but that work has to start with early education. And early education programs have a powerful impact far beyond the classroom. Today's report card rightfully assesses an array of areas that affect children's well-being and success. Policy areas such as child safety and security and juvenile violence. Early education impacts all these areas. High-quality pre-K programs have been shown to decrease child abuse and neglect by 51% and to decrease juvenile arrests by 33%. These are astounding numbers that should compel us to do as much as we can to expand early education programs for children and families who cannot afford them. We need to remember that we need to do things on the front end. We need to be proactive instead of reactive. We need to quit worrying about how much it's going to cost now, because if we continue to worry about that, I can tell you it's going to cost a lot more on the back end. So whether we're talking about reducing juvenile crime and delinquency or increasing graduation and college attendance rates, we simply cannot afford to miss the opportunities that are right in front of us with early childhood education programs. As I said, I'm absolutely honored to be an ambassador for the Strong Start for Children in Nevada campaign. Strong Start Nevada, for those who don't know, is a community outreach campaign aimed at mobilizing parents, educators, advocates, community, and business leaders to make quality early education a priority in our state. We know that early childhood experiences, good or bad, lay the foundation for successes or failures in our children. Young children who are exposed to high-quality early learning at home or in the classroom have a much greater chance at success as adults. We have taken important steps already. We've increased $50 million for Zoom schools, which helped expand public pre-K programs for English language learners. My daughter was fortunate enough this last summer to be able to volunteer in one of the Zoom schools, and it was a very eye-opening experience for her in working with these youth and being able to see what their daily lives were like. I remember that she came home one day and she had tears in her eyes, and she looked at me and she said, "Mom, I was in the first grade class, and this little boy came up to me and said, 'My dad's not here.'" And she's like, "Oh, well, you know what? I'll go call him." He says, "You know what? I just know that when my dad's not here, I just go to Kids Cottage, which is a Washoe County Social Services shelter." He goes, "Because probably my dad's been arrested again." And this is coming from a first-year-old little boy. So he's worrying about where he's going to sleep that night, where he's going to get fed that night, whether he has a dad that's going to be there for him. So being able to actually worry about his ABCs on top of all that is not going to happen. So we need to be able to focus on children as a whole. We restored $4 million in last year's fiscal budget to assist low-income families with the cost of childcare. We now have the Division of Early Learning and Development within the Nevada Department of Education, which is incredible. We established by state statute the Nevada Early Childhood Advisory Council to help develop strategic plans for implementing quality preschool grants. And just last month, the biggest one ever, and I was talking to Terry about it, that I have to admit I was a little skeptical. I said, "There's no way we're ever going to get this." So I have to eat my words, but we secured $6.4 million in federal preschool development grant funds with a potential of up to $43 million over the next 4 years. And I will miss names if I acknowledge everybody, but there was an amazing group of or people who worked on this grant and did some incredible work. I know one of them is in the audience, so I can't acknowledge him, and it's Mike Maxwell. The other one I can acknowledge too, because she works for me, and she is brilliant, I have to say, and that's Marty Alquist, and I think she's in Northern Nevada right now. But there was an incredible team: Sheila Lambert from the grants unit, Dale Urquiaga, as just a few who did work tirelessly to make sure that we got this grant submitted and that we were able to get it. As I said, this grant's a true game changer in Nevada. It will help us to significantly expand high-quality pre-K programs to those families who need them the most. The amount of slots it's going to increase for our children is incredible. These are crucial steps, but we can, we should, and we must do more. We need to do more to make these programs and opportunities available to every family in Nevada. Creating a diverse economic structure, a quality workforce, and a better quality of life for Nevadans must begin with early childhood education. Paving a path for our future to succeed starts with early education. And if we make the necessary investments, as I said before, in our youngest learners, instead of waiting until they're too old, we give them the strong start they need to succeed throughout their development, we will see measurable improvement across the board. We'll see improvement in school readiness, student achievement, high school completion. We'll actually see decreases in juvenile justice issues, child abuse, and we'll see increases in high school graduation. We'll watch as more and more of our students go to attend colleges. We'll see reductions in juvenile crimes and substance abuse, and all areas in which we know we can do better. And the effort to improve in these areas has to start long before these students enter the classroom for the first time. I began my remarks from a few minutes ago with our dear friend Dr. Seuss, and I'd also like to conclude with them. He once said, "Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better." It's not. We all know we have a lot of work to do. Today's report card clearly outlines that. But it's up to us to make a difference. It's up to us to chart the course and make the corrections we need to, and to do what is necessary to create a better world for our kids and families. I know that everyone, and many of you I've worked with, cares about children, cares about our families, and is committed to making a difference. I'm excited to be able to join in this effort, and I know there's awful lot we can do, but I know we can do it. Thank you.